My name is Emma Gordon, and today I will be presenting on The Great Silence by Ted Chiang. First slide is the what. So what is Chiang doing in his short story? I identified 5 main literary devices that Chiang used. I said that he utilizes comparison, diction, structure, dialogue or a lack thereof dialogue, and theme to answer big questions about human nature. Doing this, I'm going to go through each literary device and then provide an example of how he's doing that in the story. So the first one is comparison, and I took this excerpt from the text. It says, "Some humans theorize that intelligent species go extinct before they can expand into outer space. Hundreds of years ago, my kind was so plentiful that the Rio Abayo forest resounded with our voices. Now we're almost gone. Soon, this rainforest may be as silent as the rest of the universe." So throughout the story, Chiang compares parrots and humans. The narrator of the story is the parrot. I'll discuss that in a different slide. But basically, the parrot is talking with itself and the audience about the similarities between humans and parrots. And the whole story is basically about how humans are searching for connection that we already exist here on Earth. And we're missing out on all of the wonderful connection we could be making with the animals and beings here on Earth because we're searching for something in the universe that may not even exist. The next literary device is diction, and I chose this quote from the book to describe that. It says, "It's no coincidence that aspiration means both hope and the act of breathing. When we speak, we use the breath in our lungs to give our thoughts a physical form. The sounds we make are simultaneously our intentions and our life force. I speak, therefore I am. Vocal learners, like parrots and humans, are perhaps the only ones who fully comprehend the truth of this." So I thought this was a good example of diction because it's an entire quote based around one word. The word aspiration is talking about breathing, and he kind of connects this to a larger metaphor of like making noise and speaking and being able to express ourselves is life-giving to both humans and parrots. That also kind of continues the comparison between parrots. Alright, so the next literary device I want to talk about is structure. I don't have a specific quote from the text to give you this example, but I just want to talk about it a little bit. So The Great Silence is divided into 12 short paragraphs, and each paragraph sort of builds off of each other. So the first one introduces both humans and parrots, and it sort of questions humans' inability to connect with the species that are already here on Earth. And the parrot basically talks about how humans are so focused on connecting with outer space because they deem alien intelligence or other intelligent beings like more intelligent than the parrots. So the parrot's sort of like, why can't you just connect with us? Like, we can talk. And then the next 10 paragraphs, they each dive into scientific concepts. One of them discusses the Fermi paradox. A couple more, like one discusses myths that humans believe and then myths that like parrots believe. It's really a funny way to compare there. And then the story ends with a message, and it's kind-hearted from the parrots, but it's also really deep. The message is sort of a warning, like a kind message and a warning to the humans. And I have it quoted in a different literary device, so I'll discuss it in a minute. But the parrots basically decide we're not going to blame humans because this breed of parrot is about to go extinct. So we're not going to blame humans for our extinction, but we're going to warn humans to pay more attention to the world around them so that this doesn't happen to other species. My next literary device is dialogue. And it's sort of a lack thereof. So Chiang doesn't use any dialogue in his short story. So the narrator, the parrot, is the only character throughout the story that is speaking, and it's sort of addressing humans, which is also addressing the audience, but never discusses anything with another character or even another parrot. And the story is also told in first person. So the parrot uses I, me, my, and then addresses humans as they, them, theirs. And then the last literary device I want to talk about is theme. And for theme, I have a quote from the end of the story. And I wanted to talk about how you can really use language to sort of like nail in the theme to your audience. And I think Chiang did this really well in the story. So from the end of at the very end, the last paragraph, it says, "Human activity has brought my kind to the brink of extinction, but I don't blame them for it. They didn't do it maliciously. They just weren't paying attention. My species probably won't be here for much longer. It's likely that we'll die before our time and join the great silence. But before we go, we are sending a message to humanity. We just hope the telescope at Arecibo will enable them to hear it. The message is this: you be good, I love you." So now we're going to answer the why. Why is Ted Chiang using all of these devices? So I believe that Chiang is aiming to show the audience flaws within the human condition. He's asking really big questions about why humans care so much about space and connecting with alien creatures when we have beings living here on Earth that are just as capable of connecting with us. And also, why do humans want to connect so badly? What is it innate within us that causes us to need connection, not with just other humans, but even other species? So in other words, we don't need Arecibo or aliens. The connection that we crave so badly exists right here in front of us on Earth, and we need to protect it. All right, so the question I want to leave you guys with is, how can we develop a story's plot and theme without the use of dialogue? So this is like my little practice assignment, so let's practice. Your assignment is a writing exercise. So you're going to try writing a story using comparison. So you're going to choose two subjects. They can be objects, living beings, or places. And then you'll write a few paragraphs in which you compare the two subjects to one another, similar to how Chiang did in his story. Don't use dialogue. No dialogue, not between the two characters or places or objects. But you're basically gonna use one of the subjects you chose and discuss it from their point of view and compare it to whatever other subject you chose. And see how far you can get with developing your plot and theme using only comparison. I found that this was really difficult. My short story for this semester uses a lot of dialogue, so I was interested to see how that could work in a short story. All right, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.